then we are not able to check or do stuff from documentation, you will have to start doing it, right? Because abhi React mein we almost know everything, not just almost, we know everything. So we should start picking things up. There might be few libraries or packages that should be mentioned in notes. If not, I mean, I can give you a head start with few libraries, and then from there onwards, you read those documentation and try implementing that. Right? Google or documentation was not available in evaluation questions. So can you not find it out? Firebase Google का ही property है. Oh, it should be somewhere there only. ठीक है? So again, I'm not sure how many of you guys tried it, but there are lots of libraries that you have with respect to like React or JS, right? Because JS is open source, right? So anyone can copy it, anyone can like replicate the source code, right? So libraries, anyone tried any other libraries aside from OAuth and all, जो हम regularly use करते हैं? Name them then. कौन सा use किया? No one. We just didn't try new, like any specific library. Next UI. Okay, anything else? Yeah, anyone tried this format? Anyone? Yes, no, guys, are we sleeping? What's the case? किसी ने ट्राई किया है फॉर्मेक? नहीं, एक बार जाओ फिगर इट आउट व्हाट, किस रिस्पेक्ट में है ये फॉर्मेक और फॉर्मेक ऐसे कुछ होगा. आई मीन आई एम नॉट श्योर अबाउट द नेम. आई एम प्रीटी श्योर दिस इज द नेम. एक बार चेक करो and tell me what's this documentation about. Formic, right? Yeah. Form making. Form making. Build form in React. So why would someone felt a need to create like form ke with respect to like library? Is it so okay, forms are kind of difficult to like if there are multiple inputs? Yes. So this is Formic's documentation. Now, where should I visit to learn more about how can I install it and all? Because very first thing that should come in your mind is how should I install this particular package, right? So either you can check GitHub or get started. Let's start with get started, or even up here you have documentations and all, right? And in here you'll try figuring out where is the tutorial for starting with it, right? And then over here, click on here. So you'll see कि installation guide में दिया है कि how you can npm install it, right? And then how you can import Formic from your Formic and how you can start implementing it, right? So from this, it seems like it gives you a tag like Formic tag, and उसके अंदर you can start with initial value and you can just directly use that value in that entire code, right? So you won't have to separately create a use state or use ref or anything. Everything will be taken care by like Formic itself, right? You can create big forms via using that. You don't have to do prevent default and all. Everything will be taken care by Formic itself, right? So I mean, if you install it and if you like copy the code, can you not figure it out कि हाँ क्या हो रहा है? अच्छा, what's this? What's this going here? ठीक है, correct, Shavik. I mean, पहले it's checking like this is form validation. Yes, agreed. Form validation है. It's validating the input. It's checking if the email is present or not, right? Else if वो check कर रहा है कि email में characters है कि नहीं है properly, and those characters aren't supposed to be like your symbols and all, right? पहले dot से पहले. So it's writing a small test over here. You might have seen this in notes also, and this is regex, right? That it's using. again, what's regex? So if you can go and search about it, you can figure it out. It basically helps finding out characters, right? The regular expression is the like full form of it, and you can basically, this is how you will start finding it out. Have studied it, second unit, okay, you already have studied it. तो डॉट टेस्ट क्या करता है, बिफोर इट calls this function, it tests this, right? तो लास्ट स्प्रिंट में मे बी day 2 और day 3 में there might be a small notes with respect to just testing, तो check it out. I mean, it's ये वाला test you won't be able to write it. It's not exactly expected from you guys, but yeah, I mean थोड़ा सा you will get an idea कि how these are, right? But basically, if I tell you कि yeah, please use for me, can you use it, right? First thing that you have to figure it out is कि how you can install it, and then you have to figure out कि how you can start using it. Take similarly, there is a style component करके, style components करके पैकेज होता है. So हाँ, तो any guesses what this might do? Style component open करो अपने system में. What might style components do? Right, actual CSS in JS, exactly, exactly, right? So again, basically, जैसे we can write like actual JS in HTML and HTML in JS in React. This helps writing your CSS directly in JS files, right? So again, you can go with installation. There's this motivation section. I think in here they'll mention ki kya, why was this created. So why case you can find it here. Again, you should start giving things a read, right? कि क्यों हुआ, then you'll get an idea कि yeah, this might be an issue जो कि कभी आ सकता है, right? तो again, these kind of things जो कि इंटरव्यूअर पढ़ते हैं and then they think yeah, these are something that I can ask, and फिर वो पूछते हैं. But usually we don't have a habit of reading documentation, so we never figure these things out, right? So again, guys, if you're thinking you can learn React just in 3 weeks, that's not the case, right? It takes months to learn React. But a fundamental is created, and based on that you have to start building stuff, right? तो थोड़ा सा read करना ही पड़ेगा, ठीक है? Again, if you visit this, first thing you'll figure it out कि how you can install it, and then how you can get started with it. There's a reason they give like actual code that you can copy and you can test around, play around, right? Here's this entire thing. That's why we did Chakra UI entirely from documentation. Nothing was predefined. ठीक है? अच्छा, I'll give you a small problem statement. Think about it, because I just remembered one more understand, right? So if I have to implement graphs and let's say bar chart and all, so check browser or check your internet ki how we can have some packages, or do we have some packages which can help with this. What is the use of regex? Have you not solved like those problems in DSA where you are given a str or something, and usme there are like characters and like numbers and this and that, and इसमें पूछते हैं कि are there any symbols of there, तो इसको कैसे सॉल्व करोगे इस प्रॉब्लम को? I mean, there is a brute force approach, right? You will create a string of alphabets, a string of numbers, and you'll check if those numbers or alphabets को छोड़ के कुछ भी है, तो you'll maybe increase a count or something, right? Right? Or I mean, because there's a possibility that capital भी है, right? तो यहाँ पे you can use regex, right? These are like expressions. I mean, they combine different stuff. So basically, you can like combine. आप पूछ सकते हो कि I have these characters and do we have like these present over here? ठीक, तो आई डोंट एग्जैक्टली रिमेम्बर पूरा रेजिक्स, आई जस्ट रिमेम्बर कि कैरेक्टर्स कैसे फाइंड करते हैं. तो या आई मीन टेक दिस क्वेश्चन एंड इसको सॉल्व करते करते यू विल बेसिकली लर्न रेजिक्स. आई मीन इट्स जस्ट स्मॉल थिंग, इट टेक्स लाइक 10-15 मिनट्स एट मैक्स. ठीक है, प्लस समवन जस्ट मेंशन कि यू गाइस हैव ऑलरेडी गॉन थ्रू रेजिक्स, तो एक बार चेक कर. ठीक. अच्छा गाइस, अगेन दिस थिंग, इफ आई हैव टू लाइक क्रिएट ग्राफ्स एंड बार चार्ट एंड ऑल, तो मैं कैसे बनाऊंगा? Okay, we have several names, right? Core UI, we have recharts. Anything else? Like, are you guys even trying? Charts.js, charts.js अभी काम कर रहे हो? I mean, isn't it? जो मुझे last याद है, it was charts2.js. Maybe charts.js might be okay. Right. So out of these, I think recharts is the most famous one because I don't know. I remember recharts, so I'm just assuming, right? Let's say if you want to check recharts, right? Recharts React. Next, over here you'll visit again the very first thing that we have to look in a documentation. How do I install this? Right? And where do you think I'll find that out? Installation कैसे करना है? I mean, I don't want to directly install it. So कैसे? Have to do npm, right? I'll visit guide. I'll check कि हाँ, how do you install it? And then everything is already written in. Right? npm में करना है तो you can go with that. Sprint 1 में जैसे कर रहे थे तो you can go with this. And like basically if you want to clone the entire repository and वहां से start करना है तो you can go with this. Right? Then you'll visit getting started and you'll get an idea कि how things are happening. Right? So you see कि just these set of lines, just like 5-6 set of lines, and you have created this graph. Right? So abhi again, width, height, these are something that can be dynamic. You have a set of data. Based on that, you can calculate these. We have already seen like a slight version of these previously in JS and React maybe also. Right? JS with dekha tha how we created bar graph using like height into something. Right? These are what you can do. Like you have created this CSS just by this. So why do you have to write everything when you have been like in evaluations? It's never mentioned कि you are not supposed to use a certain library or not, right? Right. So again, if I tell you कि create a let's say कि customize पे जाते हैं, right? So let's say if I tell you कि you go and create these bar, तो अभी by now what you guys will do again, pick the data up, multiply it, and write CSS for it. है ना? But why would you want to do that when you can do something like this directly? उसमें width दो, height दो, and it's already created everything with label. ठीक है? तो use this opportunity कि you're learning a language which is open source, right? JS. So the community is very huge. You can pick something from those contributions. You can contribute from your end also, right? तो थोड़ा documentation पढ़ना start कीजिए. Will we? Everyone? All right. ठीक है. So yeah, we kind of strayed far. Take it. What do we have to learn today? What do we have to learn today? Custom hooks. Custom hooks. Okay. But any idea ki why would we want to create our own custom hooks? I mean, what might be the need of a custom hook at all? अच्छा, नीड पे आते हैं बाद में। फर्स्ट थिंक अबाउट इट कि like what kind of custom hooks, if I tell you you can create custom hooks, if I teach you what kind of custom hooks you might want to create, if you want to do specific operations, okay? Anything else? Function, change as per set our usage, okay? Self defined hooks, ठीक है, kind of a definition but ठीक है. Anything else? Repeated task, okay, very good, something to ponder over. Anything else? अच्छा ठीक है. Let's say I have a page, right? And in that page, I'm defining equals to 10, where b equals to 20, and then I'm doing console.log a plus b. But उसके बाद someone told me कि we don't have to do this. तो मैं क्या करूँगा? मैं a को reassign करूँगा with the value of 15, and b को I'll reassign with value of 25, and then I'll do console.log a plus b, right? And then someone told me, no, we need something else. This should be 115 and b should be 125, and then we'll do console.log a plus b, right? So outputs will be, this will be 30, right? ये क्या होगा? 50 to 40, okay? ये क्या होगा? ये 240 होगा, right? नहीं, 240, ठीक है. तो do you think this is correct way of doing it, doing this particular operation that we're doing? No, why not? There's no syntax error. क्या बात कर रहे हो? कोई syntax error नहीं है. Again, the same question, guys. Is this a good way of doing this? Okay, correct, Vikram. What about this? Again, guys, क्या हुआ? सदमा लगा है क्या evaluation के बाद? I can't actually see your outputs. DSA से? Okay, क्या पढ़ा रहे हैं DSA में? ऐसा क्या पढ़ा रहे हैं कि एकदम सन हो गया सब? एक क्वेश्चन सॉल्व हुआ, क्वेश्चन इज आउट ऑफ सिलेबस, ठीक है. तो आउट ऑफ सिलेबस शुड बी स्टोरी ऑफ योर लाइफ बाय नाउ, नहीं? अभी तक रिएक्ट का कोई आउट ऑफ सिलेबस आया है? देना पड़ेगा एक ऐसा क्वेश्चन देना चाहिए कि नो वन विल एबल टू डू इट, राइट? ठीक है, चलो कोई नहीं. ठीक है, थोड़ा सा यहाँ पे फोकस करते हैं. अगेन गाइस, ट्रस्ट मी, इट्स गोना बी वेरी इजी. कुछ नया नहीं सीखने वाले, जस्ट गोना लर्न अबाउट ओल्ड थिंग ओनली. तो यहाँ पे थोड़ा ध्यान दीजिए. दिस थिंग, इज दिस अ गुड वे ऑफ डूइंग इट, एंड इफ नॉट, व्हाई? वी आर रिपीटिंग a lot, a lot. There's a possibility that we might want to do this operation 100 times. So what should be the case? क्या करें? What can be the optimized way of doing this? Solution for it, the drive solution for this. Function, function, we'll go and create a function, add a comma b, and then this will basically return a plus b, and then we can just go and keep on calling 1 comma 2 however many times you want, 2 comma 3 and all. This makes sense? This makes sense? Although, even though this thing was working fine, but we still made it in this fashion so that we save our time, right? उसी तरीके से think about it. Let's say if I'm here, right? Let's go and create a component. एक काम करते हैं, पहले ये सारे बंद कर देते हैं. And let's open app.jsx. Here, let's go and create some components. Components, right? And over here, let's create क्या create करें? Form और JSX. ठीक है. So in here, form.jsx we created const form, and then this return, and this basically says h2 is, yeah, and we want to run this also. So npm. All right. So we don't have form. Second. So there's no error either. Let's remove this. Let's remove them. And form.j6, we're returning h2 form. We are doing this. Arey, acha. Why are we not showing form over here, guys? Path is correct. Path is correct. Yeah, it's exported. Middle. What middle? Default. Okay. Export. It is in middle. अच्छा middle में क्या है? Is form. Browser.
Sir, in the browser, it is in the middle.
Hmm. It is in middle क्या बोल रहा है? I was like, what is in middle?
Send
ठीक
in
है.
the center.
हाँ, नहीं ठीक है. All right. So yeah, what we were discussing, form, right? Why the hooks is something that is needed. So ठीक है चलो. Let's say कि we create form over it, right? This form has multiple inputs, right? एक input, then you have another input, then you have like another input, and then you have like another input. But this time, this input has a type of submit, right? So you have three separate inputs, right? Let's say कि इसको हम लोग प्लेस होल्डर देते हैं, प्लेस होल्डर. Let's give it email, right? Let's give this a placeholder of password, and let's give this a placeholder of username, right? So if I wanna like submit this form and get the object that was created out of this data, how should I proceed? How should we proceed actually? On submit. Okay, ठीक है. So on submit, and let's say handle submit भी लिखते हैं यहाँ पे. And I went and I created handle submit, right? I mean, how will I get the values from here so that it's visible here while we take the values? Extraction कैसे करेंगे? अच्छा, let's say I'm not letting you guys use event. The basic use case will be you'll create states or ref, either of them. और ये create करोगे, right? So let's go and create states, right? Let's say we have let email, comma, set email, right? And we're going to use state, and this is going to be empty string. Let password, set password, and use state. This is going to be an empty string. And then we'll have username, we'll have set username, and this will be use state. Okay. And then we'll give them values. on input. नहीं, on input, on change. I mean, you can take any of those, right? दोनों काम करेंगे. So let's say if I pick on change, and over here I want to do set email, and this will be you'll get sorry, एक second. We'll give this a value, right? And the value will be email. Okay, and we can get e from over here. So we'll do e dot target dot value. This works. On input and on change are same, not exactly, but इस case में they'll act kinda similar क्योंकि whenever we are changing it, right, we are triggering set email, तो वो re-render करेगा ना, तो it will by default get like re-rendered. पर usually क्या होता है कि on change पे क्या होगा, you will type first in JS and then when you focus it out, मतलब दूसरी चीज पे focus जाते हैं, यहाँ से focus हटता है, तब basically that change or event applies. Right? I hope you remember that. But on input में क्या होता है, जैसे जैसे we keep on typing, the event is triggered. But for React, it doesn't matter क्योंकि if you're using something like set email, right? You're basically using a use state. So as soon as you're typing it, what you're doing, you're basically re-rendering it, right? तो वो UI में अभी भी दिख जाएगा. It will kind of act similar. Alright. Same thing will happen for this also, right? For your password and username. Right, so it's just that this thing will get changed with password, and this will become password also, and this line will be changed with username, and this will become set username, right? And finally, if I handle submit, if I can do a let object over here, and this basically picks the email, it basically picks the password and username, and I finally do a console.log of obj over here, right? Now, if I clear it, if I fill something, if I fill a password, if I fill username, yeah, we'll have to prevent the default. Correct. We'll have to do prevent default. Okay. Okay. So now if I refresh it, if I fill something, if I fill password, if I fill username, if I submit it, we'll get the specific data. Right? But again, is there something that you can figure out here जो कि repeat हो रहा है? I mean, the basic concept behind those things are similar. What's it people? What is something that is repeating in this component? We're creating object every time. Okay. Don't you think this piece of code, they're almost similar except for the names? Yes. Yes. And there is a possibility that you'll create other components and you'll have to do exact same things. बाकी components भी बनाओगे. I mean, now you have done nested forms, right? एक form submit हुआ, then second form will open, then third form will open. So you'll have to take multiple inputs, right? Multiple, a lot of inputs. Yes, yes. So don't you think this is something which is doing repetition even in React, right? Is this that A plus B wala case for React, right? Almost similar things are happening, just the names are different, but we are writing it over and over and over again. So don't you think we can optimize this, right? This is exactly why you need custom hooks. Because yes, you are given React hooks, they won't give an error, you are repeating them, that's fine. But to optimize it a bit, to optimize your code a bit more, what you can do, you can use something that is already like in use, right? तो हम क्या कर सकते हैं, maybe we can create a function which can use these things and help us with other stuff, right? ताकि हमें बार बार exact same thing ना लिखना पड़े. We just write it once and we can use it a lot of time, right? तो एक use case हमें क्या समझ आता है? Why would we need why would we need custom hooks? One is to prevent what? What are we preventing? Repetition. Code repetition, right? If we are doing this, we'll basically, let's again start assuming stuff. Ki this is the component we have created a custom hook component .jsx or js, and over here we have created a function जो कि basically it does all this, right? Now यहाँ पे आपको बस function call करना है, nothing else, right? So again, are we separating a specific thing? If there's somewhat of an error, हमें पता है कि we just need to check one file. If I fix this error once, every other errors will be fixed. मान लो किसी input में कोई error आ रहा है, I know कि I have to just visit this function. इसमें maybe some faulty code is there. I'll fix it and everything will be fixed, or everything will break based on कौन use कर रहा है उसको, right? So it even helps with separating the code, right? I mean, it has a name, the separations of concern, right? So separation of concerns, or in like simple words, it basically separate the logic so that debugging becomes easier, right? And given that we are not writing these many codes again and again, I mean, यहाँ पे तो it's small, but still, again, it can grow large, right? So is it improving readability, right? तो अभी तो ये सारी चीजें आप धीरे धीरे बोल सकते हो, right? I can see most of you guys are typing it out. Great. ठीक है. So yeah, this is why we need custom hooks, right? तो shall we try understanding कि हाँ custom hooks बनेंगे कैसे? If I want to create my own custom hook, how will I go about it? Shall we try implementing that? Right? So it's easy, but before doing something, you have to understand ki how the original stuff was created, right? You have to understand what's the rules of creating, write it out, rules of creating a React hook. Now, rule number one, bata, what is something that you always notice with respect to hooks in React? Using use. The use keyword should be there for React to identify it's a hook. ये तो होना चाहिए, right? Now, any other behavior that you have seen with respect to hooks, जिसमें maybe it throws an error. Function for a hook, okay, makes sense. Hooks are supposed to be functions. Very good. These functions, they can't be like your for each कि undefined return कर दें. They should return something which should not be a like undefined तो नहीं होना चाहिए at least. It can be undefined, but again, it should return something based on how it was created, right? Array तो we are just gonna return in case of what? Let's say we are creating our own use state. उस केस में array return करना होगा. With respect to use effect, why would we? Right? So basically, we can boil it down to return something. Anything else that you have seen with respect to hooks? Any errors that you might have identified? Convention, okay, not defined. Okay. I mean, do you guys get error with respect to hooks? मतलब कोई errors याद है जो कि आते थे hooks के साथ? अच्छा, did anyone ever tried something like this कि let's say I tell you कि use effect होता है, right? Use effect होता है, and what you can do with use effect is, let's say if I go and write here console.log hello world, right? अभी के लिए बताओ when will this code run? I'm going to give you a few options. First, once when the component mounts. Second, once when the component reloads. Third, always always when the component re-renders. 1, 2 or 3. Third, it's always gonna run for every re-renders. Every re-render. Okay, what about this then? If I go and apply empty array over here, empty dependency array, now what? Which option? 1. And if I write a state over here, which option? 2, 3. जरूरी नहीं है कि आपको हमेशा बोलना है कि ऑप्शन है. You can say none of the above. None. If I add fourth, whenever the states in the dependency array updates. Fourth, whenever the state changes. Right? Okay, fine. Good that we are on same page. Let's say if I write this, everyone is gonna run. So did anyone try something like this? Or let I equals to 0, I is less than 5, I plus plus. And yeah, what's the issue? What's the issue? I mean, is there any syntax error that you see over here? कोई syntax error है? Nope. Let's take this up. Let's take this up then. यहाँ पे ले जाते हैं. Let's paste it over here. Right? Let's refresh it and let's paste it over here. क्या error आ रहा है? Use effect is not defined. Basically, you're not supposed to call any hooks in loops. Right? कोई भी hooks loop में you should not be calling. Let's say if I go and define a use state over here, right? Let uh, updates and set updates equals to use state, and this is 0, right? If I refresh it and if I refresh it, yeah. So again, any issues over here? No, but is this correct way of doing it? No, right? So you're not supposed to call hooks or like any of the hooks inside like loops and all, right? So third rule will be hooks are supposed to be called inside or created to be created inside loops. Take anything else that you might have noticed? Anything else? Okay, let's say I write over here if email dot length is greater than 5, right? तो उसके बाद मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ I go and create a hook over here, right? Or let's say I'm calling city with hello, right? So let's refresh it. अभी email की length कर देते हैं 5. So in this case, it will trigger, right? So that works, right? If you're typing it getting changed to hello as soon as the email dot length is triggering this. But again, let's say if you go and define something like a new state over here, right? New state किस लिए define करेंगे? Let's say name, set name, and use state, right? Something like this. So again, you're not supposed to create or do something like this, wherein you're defining a separate state based on a condition, right? So you can simply keep it in this format कि hooks are not supposed to be created inside loops or conditional statements, right? Although what might work is you're writing if statement, but इसके अंदर you're calling or creating another component, right? So let's say there is a component which is called email, right? And this email component may inside that you are doing for loop or you're doing if else condition, so that works, right? Because you have a component which is holding those. That should be the case. Tick. Clear? Okay. Again, let's say if I create a state here, name set name equals to use state, right? Let's say this is empty. So this should not be the case even, right? Again, the thing is that your normal browsers won't give an error with respect to this, right? But again, this shouldn't be the case. Like they are supposed to be present inside component. And technically, is this a component? No, right? Component follow a small rule, although strictly me, but that rule is that whenever you create a component, you're supposed to name it with capital, right? So make sure we are following these rules. I mean, these are small rules. The reason why like JS doesn't gives an error over here, because technically syntax wise, there's no error. You're calling a function inside loop. That's fine. That's fine. But these are something that you have to think about while you're creating your own hooks. Clear? There's even a possibility कि going forward there might be React update जिसमें ये सारी features भी हट जाए. You can use the React like you usually use JS. Freedom आ जाएगा फिर से. But again, for now, these are some rules that we follow. ये clear है? Now shall we move towards creating our own custom hook? Right? So now that we are creating a custom hook, एक काम करते हैं. Let's have a file. Right? Custom hooks. Alright. And यहाँ पे yeah. So we are not supposed to call states and all inside like normal functions, right? पर वो केस सिर्फ JSX के लिए होगा. If we use JS file, that's fine, right? तो let's say कि यहाँ पे हम एक use input बनाते हैं, use input dot JSX और JS अभी के, right? So I'll go and create a function. We'll call it use input function, right? And over here हमें return क्या करना होगा? What should be return? Let's return an object over here, right? And उस object पे भी decide करते हैं कि what we can do with this. चलो. So for now, if I visit form again, let's say कि I'm importing this use input. तो एक input चलाने के लिए what do you need? What are the things that you need? Hook and function, right? So basically, let's say कि if I want to define my hooks like this directly equals to use input, right? And यहाँ पे मैंने empty दिया. If I want to define it like this, what do you think? What if I call this use input and if I fill this like a default value, this default value should be accepted. Okay, what was the initial value? Initial value चाहिए होगी function में, the custom function. Let's say कि this is how we are using it. हमने define किया email, and इसमें we have this value. So first thing first, we need a input from it. Let's say use input में we are getting a, what can we call it, initial state, right, in it. Abhi, what can we do with this in it? What can we do with this in it? We're using object, so you can feel free. We can add multiple things in this. Use input, multiple चीजें return कर सकते हैं, right? So you can feel free there. Do you think we should use state over here, right? Acha, again, here's a small thing. When we talk about custom hook, right? People start thinking कि we're gonna create everything from scratch, right? कि मतलब use state है तो use state भी हम अपने आप से बनाएंगे. You can't do this, right? Use state का जो code है, it's like something very intuitive and it's embedded in React, right? So you can't create something like that without using internal hooks. So internal hooks will be in use. You'll just create something जो कि repetition रोकता है. That's it. Right? So over here, what I'll do, I'll go and define a use state, right? Let's say I'm defining a use state, right? Let's say it's not supposed to take number, right? It can take anything. तो एक ऐसा universal variable का नाम सोचो, which can accept num, which can accept a string, which can accept characters, anything, function, anything. What can we name something which can accept everything? Data. Okay, that works for me. And you have set data, right? And this will call use state. Now, what should be the value of this use state? The starting value. Again, guys, when we call this form, right? जब हम इस form को call कर रहे हैं, we can even send, right? Let's say I'm doing let phone equals to use input, right? Use input, and इसके अंदर I'm sending a phone number. Then what? Right? So it should accept. So we are already sending that. So can I say कि init is, if I pass init, we'll put the initial value over it. Make sense or not? Make sense? Make sense? Right? And then in this return, what do we have to return? First thing first, the data, whatever value that we have currently. But we'll need to return this update also, how we can basically update it. Right? So remember context updater function. That's why you run. Right? So I can say handle update equals to handle update में I can send e, and what I'll do is basically set data with e dot target dot value. Now it doesn't matter कि कहाँ पे आप इसको कॉल कर रहे हो. If it's an input box, you can take the input, right? And I'll send the handle update function over here, right? पर इसको नाम देना पड़ेगा फंक्शन को. तो फंक्शन को क्या नाम दे? On input change gets called, right? जब भी input change हो रहा है, I can call my handle change, handle update, and this will take the value from that particular like let's say input, and it will update it. So seems like something that we can overall use again and again. We don't have to now define use state for every variable every time. Can we do that? Yes. ठीक है. तो let's export this, right? Export default वाला करते हैं. Use input, right? Let's use this. So yeah, how will we do that? Let email equals to use input. Okay. And if I send empty string, this is fine. Right? Value में क्या जाएगा? Value में क्या जाएगा? What should we put in value for email? Acha, again, if I do console.log email, what I get? Let's comment this out. Let's refresh it. If I console.log this email, what am I getting? ऑब्जेक्ट क्या गेट करेंगे हम, जो भी हम सेंड कर रहे होंगे यहाँ से, वी आर रिटर्निंग a data which is basically representing the value and a updater function on input change. So yeah, we're value part, right? It might ठीक, let's do one thing. एक काम करते हैं अभी के लिए, let's remove all these on changes, right? ये सारे on change हटा देते हैं, so that I mean we can at least see something over there. Let's remove all the on change, right? Let's refresh it. Let's refresh it. Where's the error? Password is not defined. ठीक है, alright. अब maybe error है, password is not defined. अच्छा हाँ ठीक है, this is fine. So we'll do that same thing for password. Password is equals to use input empty string, and we'll send name equals to use input and empty string. Right, abhi it should be fine. We'll have to do password dot value, and we'll have to do whatever value that we're getting, and username dot, acha ek second, we're getting the value in data format, right? So we'll have to do dot data, password dot data, and username dot data. Yeah, if I refresh it, again we're getting some error. Username, okay. User name. All right, let's refresh it. So we're getting, you provided a value prop to a form field without a we'll deal with that. But currently this is empty, right? Let's say if I fill something over here, let's say if I fill something over here, let's say if I fill something over here, and then if I refresh it, that value is by default given to, right? So वो by default वाला part is working from our end. We can give any value over here, and that email dot data, whatever we are getting in return, is updating it. What's the second part now? We should be able to update this specific input. Yes, yes. Guys, ये वाला part समझ आया? Why are we showing by default ये input? Is this clear to everyone? Yes, ठीक है. Now for the update part. Over here, what we'll do, we'll basically again go and write on change, right? And over here, we'll write e, and क्या call करेंगे हम लोग? On input change. On input change. Right? So let's call it on input change. On input, and this will be change. And yeah, of course, correct. We'll have to do email dot on change, right? Email dot. And over here, what should we pass? पूरे event pass कर दें? Will that be fine? Right? Or if I just directly call this on input email dot on input change, don't you think this will directly catch the event that we are sending, because it's already doing e and e dot target dot value, right? Similarly, over here we'll write on change, and this will be password dot on input change, and this will be on change, and this will be username dot on input change. Right, now I can go and update the inputs also. That works. Let's refresh it. So by default, we have given some value to it, and then if we're adding some value over here, adding some value over here, we can submit it, and submit हम कुछ नहीं कर रहे हैं. So let's do over here. We can do let obj equals to email dot data. I'll do password dot data, and I'll do username dot data, right? But dot notation के साथ we'll have to provide keys. So email, this will be password, and this will be user name. Right now, if I refresh it, clear everything, and on change page, are we consoling? Console कहाँ करते हैं? This thing, very right. If I go and fill stuff over here, and if I submit it, uh, we're not consoling the object. Let's console the object. Console the object. Right. Again, let's quickly refresh. Fill some value over here. And if I submit it, we'll get the updated value based on that. Right. So now you don't have to exactly every time create a use state, find these separate values and do all that. You can just directly do it. Clear? So you successfully created your own custom hook, which was called use input. Does this make sense? Ki, yeah, why we created the hook? Why part clear hai? Ki why we created the hook? Because if that's clear, then basically main concern custom hooks का ये रहता है कि why do we need them? Right? So there is nothing else, just reusability. Right? Now you can use this use input hook anywhere, in any case. Right? तो वही सबसे बड़ा कारण होता है. Alright, let me just refactor it a bit. Alright, so I want everyone to quickly replicate this so that if in case you think there's something that you're not getting, you can quickly put your doubts in chat. ये चीज जल्दी से replicate करो. Everyone please create your own use input hook. I mean, if you want validations over here, you can even do that. Right? अभी आपके ऊपर है. And you just have to write validation once. Make sense, right? बस यहाँ पे आके आपको validations लिखना है. And you will be fine for each and every hook. Clear? So you guys have 5 minutes, quickly replicate it. And in case you have a doubt, please put it there. In Reducer, we used to add all the cases. Here we include all the fields in handle submit. Handle submit. Add all the cases. I'm not getting add all the cases matlab. Like switch cases. हाँ ठीक है. But यहाँ पे is there any need of switch case? Right? And Redux was used to save the data. ठीक, तो अगर आपको ये डेटा मैचिंग टू थिंग सिमिलैरिटी नहीं, बट यूर मैचिंग सिमिलैरिटी नहीं, यहाँ पे इट्स अ बिट सेपरेट. लेट्स से आई वांटेड टू सेव दिस डेटा, तो उस केस में आई वुड हैव क्रिएटेड अ रिडक्स. उसके लिए मुझे एक सेपरेट एक्शन बनाना होता है कि या दिस इज द डेटा दैट आई एम क्रिएटिंग. अभी लेट्स से यहाँ पे मैं डिस्पैच करता, राइट? दिस इज वेयर वी डू ऑल दैट. तो लेट्स से यहाँ पे मैं डिस्पैच करता, डिस्पैच, राइट? तो आई वुड हैव डिस्पैच्ड अ फंक्शन, राइट? एक फंक्शन एक्शन होता, फंक्शन एक्शन, लेट्स से जस्ट कॉल इट, एंड उसमें आई हैव सेंड दिस, आई वुड हैव सेंड दिस ऑब्जेक्ट. यहाँ पे I would have like done a switch case, and based on whatever type I'm sending, I would have added this object in my array, right? तो वो करना है. Dispatch करते time you do your switch cases. You don't have to do directly यहाँ. This is just console part, right? ये object जाएगा as a payload. That's where you will apply your switch cases. Done, people. Done, guys. अच्छा चलो, let's do one thing. Complete it, have a break, and then from 50 we'll carry on. ठीक है, so 12:50 everyone be back. Please make sure you're completing it. कोई भी if you have a doubt, please put it in chat. I'll take it up. Yeah, run back. Guys, are we back? नहीं ठीक है. All right, so got an idea कि how you can create your own custom hooks. Why would you wanna create it? Why part समझ आया? Because that is where the learning starts. Why समझ आना चाहिए, जरूरत क्यों थी? फिर समझ आने लगेगा कि yeah, this is how we can create it. So why is clear. And if I ask you to create a use input hook for yourself, can you create that? Yes, no, anything guys in chat? Hmm. Again, guys, what's the issue? You guys are way too silent today. I mean, was this so bad? कितना खराब गया? No. And when you guys try to chat, क्या लगता है? डर लगता है क्या? If I type something, I'll say something. You can type, that's fine. It's fine. No. अच्छा. आजकल परवीन आया है. परवीन. परवीन शेख. विशाल कहाँ? Where are you guys? I mean, Vikram's always there. What about Shashi, Sagar? Are you guys present? Acha, how many of us are present, right? One in chat, guys. Okay. Hmm. ठीक है. Right. Mukul, present. Mukul, you there? Okay. Rahul. Rahul George, you there? Yes. Okay. Getting an idea how or what custom hooks are. Yes. Can you guys unmute? Rahul, can you unmute? Rahul?
Hello, sir.
Yeah. Hi. Rahul?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Present
Hello,
in
sir. Can
session.
you hear me? Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you. Present in session.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I am present, sir.
So just give me one reason why do we need custom hooks?
Uh, sir, we can create. We can create our hooks by ourselves. We do not
No,
need
no.
to. We don't need to import use state or use. Uh, we
Okay,
don't need.
what's the reason? Why do we need to create custom hooks? All right, Mrigendra Patil. Mrigendra, you there? Okay, Rutvik
Yes, sir.
is one reason why would we need a custom hook.
Sir, to prevent code repetition
Okay, very good.
and also improving readability.
Hmm. Okay. Vishal,
Yes, sir.
Yes, one reason why do we need custom hook, जो कि ऋत्विक नहीं बोला था.
Sir, one reason I know, sir, that we have to just, if we want to use a repeated work, then we can use the sir custom use. लेकिन
ठीक है, तो रिपीटेशन कहाँ पे होता है इन रिएक्ट? लाइक वन वी सॉ इन इनपुट, कैन यू थिंक ऑफ एनीथिंग एल्स?
yes, sir. We are using in count function, sir. If we use count for addition, for increment for one,
ओके,
we can use sir.
ठीक है, पर आई मीन reusability makes sense, you can create a mathematical operator over there, पर यार चलो ठीक है, fine, I mean it's kind of correct, so I can't say anything with respect to that. ठीक है, Syed Fad Ali, I hope I pronounced it correct. Syed, you there? Okay. Shovik?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah, so one repetition kind of thing we just saw, where we created multiple use state and मतलब एक use state में we did all that. Can you
Yes.
think of another use case for this? Custom hooks बनाने के.
ये एक ही तो अभी तक आता है, दिमाग में आ रहा है.
Sorry?
यही एक ही तो आ रहा है, और रिड्यूसर का हो सकता है, यूज रिड्यूसर.
Okay. It's possible कि maybe अभी ध्यान में ना आ रहा हो, तो let's ask something else. Just want to understand कि you guys were present in session or not. तो sir for APIs के लिए ठीक है. अच्छा, think about this, Shovik.
यस.
एक एप्लीकेशन में is there a possibility कि that we can do multiple fetch request?
एक एप्लीकेशन में हाँ 2-3 एपीआई हो सकते हैं.
हो सकता है.
हाँ,
तो-
एक लॉगिन के लिए और एक डेटा के लिए, ऐसा कुछ.
तो will it make sense कि if we create a custom hook for that?
मतलब यूज इफेक्ट के लिए हाँ हो सकता है.
यूज इफेक्ट के लिए नहीं, फेच करने के लिए डेटा.
हाँ,
हो सकता है.
लगता तो है ऐसा.
ठीक है, ठीक है, लगता है. सोचो कैसे बनेगा. ऑलराइट, संप्रीत. संप्रीत सिंह. इधर संप्रीत. वेरी गुड. रिजित, रिजित नाथ. रिजित इधर. ओके. कृतिका मिश्रा.
Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible. Yeah. So why do we need custom hooks? The reason.
We need custom hooks. When suppose we have different forms in 2 pages and we need to collect that data, so we can use custom hooks for that.
Okay. And any other case for which we might need custom hook? Fetch छोड़ के
Okay.
for your use case. Think about it. Anything?
Uh,
Open notes.
yes, sir.
Notes देख बताओ. Can we create for something? While creating card. Card, I mean, if we are writing it inside map, then there's no need. But you might be onto something. Think about it. Maybe you can create it from your own end. Yes, Ritika, find something.
Toggle component. Uh,
Today's notes are released, right? I have released it.
yes, sir.
Can you think उसमें से देख के बताओ कोई custom hook?
Mhm. So, in this example, we are creating a toggle component for vegetarian toggle engineering,
Okay.
where we are setting the value true or false in use toggle, and when user clicks on button, so it will toggle the values between true and false, and uh, it will change the value of the button to yes or no accordingly.
Okay. But फिर वही है ना same question.
Yes.
Do we need it? Do we need a custom hook like that?
So,
Help कैसे कर रहा है वो?
so there are three buttons:
Hmm.
vegetarian engineering and loves coding. So, uh, it is taking true or false in one of the values, and it is updating all the three buttons
ठीक है.
by using use toggle. So we are creating only one function, use toggle, but it is updating all the three buttons.
ठीक है. एक small question then.
Yes, sir.
एक function है, right? उधर से आपने 3 अलग-अलग buttons बनाए, right?
Yes, sir.
This is what you're saying?
Yes,
तो
sir.
if I click on any of these buttons and let's say इसमें false था,
Hmm.
right? इसमें false था and इसमें भी false था. So what's gonna happen? If I click on true for this one, सब में true हो जाएगा.
Hmm.
Is that the case?
No, sir. No, sir, because here we are the thing that we define const vegetarian toggle vegetarian. On that particular one, it will be it will set as true or false.
ठीक है. I mean, ठीक है. But the reason?
Because we are using use toggle function where we are defining the value and set value, we are creating custom hooks for that. But we are using use toggle for
Yes. I mean, you're almost correct. Almost there.
So we have only when we are defining use toggle function, we are defining value and set value,
Okay.
and uh, it is dynamic where we are storing vegetarian toggle vegetarian.
ठीक है. Right. Fine. Saiful, you there? Saiful? Right. Om?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Right. Yeah. So why do we need custom hooks?
So custom use hooks for increase the readability and usability.
ठीक है. Anything else?
सर इतना ही समझा.
इतना ही समझा है. ठीक है. इधर इनपुट वाले हुक में क्या किया है? ओवरऑल एक ओवरव्यू दो क्विकली.
सर बेसिकली क्रिएटेड एक फंक्शन नेम यूज इनपुट, उसका एक तो पैरामीटर लिया है init. So
Okay. Anything else?
सर मैं एक फंक्शन कर रहे हैं जिसमें हम यूज स्टेट से हम डाटा और उसका अपडेट अपडेट करने का फंक्शन रिटर्न कर रहे हैं.
Fine. क्रांति कुमार. ठीक है, very good. I mean, if you're not able to attend the session properly, पूरा कर नहीं पाओगे, then you're gonna use this time somewhere else, right? You're gonna watch the recording, and फिर वो recording जो है उस time पे you should have solved assignment, but you didn't because you were watching recording, and फिर assignment solve किसी और time में करोगे, and that's of course gonna lead to pile up, right? I'm not sure what's the possible use case कि मतलब इस time पे आप लोग क्या कर रहे हो. I mean, I can't really comprehend कि क्या कर रहे हो क्या. I mean, are you usually scrolling or something? Anyways, I mean, it's your call. आप लोगों को कोर्स में मैं थोड़ी. ठीक है, चलो, fine. So the people who are here, we took up an example, right? We can do fetch a lot in an application. Yes. Yes. Right. So do you think this is something that has a like capability of becoming a custom hook? Custom hook. Maybe we can call it use fetch or something. Yes, seems like something that can be done with this. Right? Okay. So let's say if we are creating actually a custom hook which is called use fetch .js, not JSX. We are doing it in JS. I hope the reason for using JS is clear, because you can't just directly start using hooks inside something which is not component, right? And if you are writing use, right, use is using small letter, right? If you define it as use fetch, this is small letter, right? So basically it can't be accepted as a component. So that's why we're using .js file, so that we can directly use something like this. Okay, fine. So if we are creating a hook like this, do we need an input from users? Do we need input from users? Yes. What should be the input? क्या होना चाहिए input? The URL. Makes sense. URL. Very good. Very good. So ठीक है, URL पे आ गया. Now what should we do with this URL? Let's say कि we are talking in terms of we are gonna load stuff, right? Then we are gonna have like data, and then we are gonna get some error. So we have to think about all these three cases. How should we do it? I mean, I can directly write the return statement, right? The return statement may basically we need like I mean, we need these three. हमें ये तीनों चीजें चाहिए. Is it compulsory? Not compulsory, but it's a good practice. Using three different states for error, loading, and data. Very good, Ashutosh. Right. So we'll have let loading, comma set loading, use state. What should this be? Boolean. Boolean. If this function is being called, अगर ये function call हो रहा है, does that mean कि we have to start loading? So should the by default be false or true? If this function is being called, that means loading has to start. उसके बाद data will be fetched. So by default makes sense कि it should be true. All right. ठीक है. Then we are getting some data. Set data. What this data gonna be? We're gonna do it from regress. Regress से करते हैं. Right? And in case you are not sure, because it's not necessary that we are going to do it with regress. Maybe we are doing it with Firebase. So in that case, we are going to get an object, right? So what's the explicit value that we as a developer can define to a variable when we don't know what the variable is going to store? Null. Null. Correct. and then we have an error. So let error set error and use state should be again, are we sure that we are gonna get an error? No, but there are only two cases with it, right? There's no possibility that you're gonna get error as true or false. There's no possibility कि error आपको array में मिलेगा या object में मिलेगा. You're sure कि either error is there or not there. It's a binary condition, right? So by default, let's keep the error as false. If it comes, we can keep it as true. I mean, you can define it as null also. That's fine, right? But yeah, it can be binary stored also. All right. Now what should be the next step? We shall fetch the data. But again, this is gonna be a side effect. Side effect hoga. Now you'll have to start thinking in terms ki do you wanna call this function just once? Do you wanna call this function multiple times? Right? हमारे पास अभी case है कि as soon as the page loads, this function should run. So okay, take it. Let's think about it. Use effect. Right? Abhi, let's talk about this dependency here. Now I've written this use effect, but again, this function will run as soon as your page loads, right? With this specific URL. Next time जब आप फिर से इस function को call करोगे, will this thing run? It just ran once. एक बार component mount हुआ, right? So in this dependency array, can we give this URL so that whenever this URL is updated, you can call this use effect again? Does that make sense? Make sense? Make sense? Okay. So let's have our URL over here. Now inside this use effect, what should we write? What should we write? Fetch. You want to do it with xuse? Okay, direct. Chalo xuse karte hain. So let's define xuse then. Let's define xuse. This will be sprint 4. But again, calling means re-render or reloading. That will allow fetch. So why dependency? Reload hoga. Right? This function will be called again. But React remembers how many times this use effect was called. Right? So by default, it will say yeah, nothing changed, quite literally. So why would I run this use effect again? Okay, that's why you'll have to center it. All right. Now over here, we'll have S4 D1 and we have to do PMI issues. All right. So now let's go back over here. Okay, so how do we get data from Axios? Axios.get will provide the URL. This is fine. Now what? Import it. Yeah, correct. Import. All right. Dot then. Okay. We got the response. If we are getting the response, that means we have successfully hit it. Set data with a res.data. Data updated. And do we have to set the loading back to false? So set loading back to false. All right. And in case if there is an error, dot catch error and will set error to true. Right? True. Tick. But again, if error is set to true, तो अगली बार फिर से next time it's going to be true by default. So we'll have to deal with that case also. Right? So एक काम करते हैं. Need to set loading true in starting from next time. Very good. Yes, exactly. तो next time अभी यहाँ पे set loading false हो गया, तो next time we'll have to do true. Right? Where should we do it then? You guys tell. Line 14. Right? So set loading. Let's turn it to true. And we can set error to false. Works? Works. Will we get the data? Will we do all the error handling? Will we set the data? Now finally, let's just send the data that we have. So we have loading, we have data, and we have error. This is fine. This is fine. Right? So abhi, what's this hook gonna do? Based on a specific URL, it's gonna fetch the data, it's gonna set the loading states, and it's gonna throw an error based on whatever the case is. Right? So let's go and create. Let's do it in form component only. Let's have a div over here. Right? All right. Now we have to export it, right? We haven't. So I mean, we can export it here also. So export const, but फिर const define करेंगे तो again we can't do it without naming it as capital Pascal case. So let's just default export it. It should be use fetch. Right? ठीक है. Now back here. All right. So let's say let URL equals to, let's say request वाला URL रखते हैं. Request. Let's say we get this data. Right? And yeah, this is the URL. Okay, so how should we go about this? Should I start with here? Now I'm gonna check if loader is true or not. Loading हो रहा है कि नहीं हो रहा है? How can I do that? Guys, how can I check if I'm loading or not? Import it. First import करना पड़ेगा. What do we have to import? The hook. The hook. Let me shorten it a bit. थोड़ा सा इसको कम कर दें so that. हाँ ठीक है. Okay. We need the hook. So let what was the hook called? Data equals to use fetch. Right? And in here we'll send the URL. The URL that we had. Right here. We're getting some error. Error is not defined. Okay, let's see. Error is not defined. We have done this error. Dot catch error. So we are getting this error. No? अच्छा यहाँ हाँ. Error. Alright. ठीक है. Back to form. Yeah, let's refresh it. Alright, ठीक है. So we'll send this URL. So if I do a console.log of data over here, it should give me whatever is going on with the return statement, which is going to be an object, right? Let's refresh it. So basically loading is false. It has some specific data in it. So here's the data, and it has error as false. Makes sense? Makes sense. Let's say we have some other API. Yeah, what was that API name जिसमें हम post call करते थे? Pick some. अच्छा, let's do this. No, there was a API in which we used to do post calls. I think it was JSON placeholder or something. I'll check. URL2 equals to this, and let URL3 equals to let's say JSON. Yeah, this was the one. Right, इसमें posts. So if we have this, again, does it matter कौन सा data जा रहा है? No, we'll still receive the data, right? So let's say I'm doing it for let data 2 equals to use fetch, and over here I have sent URL 2. Similarly, let data 3 equals to use fetch URL 3, right? एक Firebase का भी ले लेते हैं. Let's see if that works. Firebase का भी ले लेते हैं. Let's go to console. So this was not ours. Let me check. Books. हमने delete कर दिया था क्या? We deleted the data. And we had a lot of stuff over here, no? I guess I'm not sure if I deleted or not. चलो कोई नहीं. Let's say destinations pick करते हैं, right? Or users. So last import में we deleted all. Okay. Okay, so let's have this URL also. Let URL 4 equals to this. But again, we need to get a specific data. Be it users, be it destination, right? We'll have to do users.json, right? But again, in theory, while doing use fetch, हमने data को define किया था with a null. So should we get an error, or it should be fine because we are accounting for the object? We are, right? We are accounting for the object. So let's go over here and let's define let data 4 equals to use fetch, and over here we're sending URL 4, right? अभी data print करेंगे, comma data, right? We'll do a console.log of data 2, and this will be data 2. We'll do a console.log of data 3, and we'll do a data 3, and we'll do console.log of data 4, and we'll do data 4. Right, chill. Let's clean it up. Let's refresh it, and we are getting all the data. Right? तो हर टाइम पे states भी change हो रहा है. तो starting with the first case, the loading was true, right? Data was null, error was null. This was for all the cases: data, data 2, data 3, data 4. Then like the process started, right? Again, ये first वाला our output is there. Second वाला this kind of like ये color कौन सा है? It's like Gainsborough color, right? So that is your strict mode, right? And then in second case, our data 2, data 3, data 4, ये वाला false आया, might be ठीक है. तो this is the data 2, and nothing was fetched. Then data 2 भी fetch हुआ होगा slowly, and finally we should have all the data, right? So everything has loading false, This also have the 30 data. Data 3 also has the data, and data 4 also has data. Right? So irrespective of what kind of data we are getting, fetch is happening. Right? So a hook which can fetch everything, that works. Right? Makes sense कि अब कहीं पे भी आपके पूरे application में you can just call the fetch. Can we do a bit of a destructuring over here? Right? Loading, error, and all. ठीक, so form में we can do loading, error. Oh, एक second. Yeah, I forgot it quickly. Data and error. Right? Anyone stopping you for returning it as an array? कोई रोक रहा है? Is function stopping you? If you want to do it like your use state, right? All you have to do is यहाँ पे आके you just have to import it in that fashion, right? But if you're doing it with an array, just make sure कि the sequences are correct, right? Because array accept in a sequence. But with respect to object destructuring में does sequence matter? No. What matters? The name of the key, right? ठीक है, चलिए. So now if I wanna check if my loading, data and error are working, so how should I go about it? What should be the case if I want to show it on UI? What should be the case UI पे दिखाने के लिए? अच्छा चलो फाइन, we'll go about that. अभी एक काम करो, for now quickly implement fetch वाला like custom hook from your end, right? This is the use case. I'm not going to show the code for it currently. एक बार try करो. I'll give you 4 minutes for it. एक बार वो लिखने का try करो use fetch का, and then after that I'll show you and then I'll give you some time, right? But make sure in those 4 minutes at least you're trying your best to create this use fetch. आपने देख लिया how it is done, right? तो quickly try it guys. You have 4 minutes by 31. At time of display card, it is needed for object and array. Okay. Hilal, just create this use fetch hook from your end quickly. Done, people? Try kiya? I mean, I'll show you the code, that's fine. Yeah. This is there. Quickly implemented. And please write one in chat once you're ready. Done, people? Done? Take. So basically, I hope you get the idea that this is how you can create custom hooks based on what you need or what someone else needs. Right? Is it any difficult? नहीं, बस आपको थोड़ा सा लॉजिक सोचना है उसके बारे में. ठीक, तो अभी एक छोटा सा चीज करते हैं एंड दैट शुड बी फ्रॉम योर एंड एंटायरली. तो आई एम होपिंग कि आप लोग रिस्पॉन्ड करोगे बेस्ड ऑन दैट. लेट्स से कि we are doing export const resize. We have this, right? And return this thing, right? And over here we import resize over here, right? So now if you might have seen like React Kit tutorial and all, in where they take a good example, एक अच्छा सा example लेते हैं, wherein what they do, they basically show कि if you resize your screen इस तरीके से, so you can see this size that comes up, right? If I resize it, can you see the size over there? It increases, decreases based on the screen size. So this is something that you can access in your system, right? आपके code में you can access it. Yes, do you remember window dot inner height? What is it? क्या देता है ये? क्या रिटर्न करता है? The height, current height, page का height, page height, right? So let's say I have let page height comma set page height, right? I have a variable, right? And अच्छा चलो, let's define it with a variable first, then you guys will tell me how we can make it dynamic. So let's say I have a page height and this is window dot inner height, right? And I'm over here and I'm doing h2, and in here I have written page height, right? So it gives me the page height, right? I can say that page height is this, right? Similarly, I can do it for page width. Page width equals to window dot page width, page width inner width. I can do it same for here. I can do Control C, Control V, and width, right? This can be page width. This will give you the width, right? But if I change the width and if I refresh it, the widths are different, right? If I change it even bit more, the widths are different, but it's not getting updated. Why? As soon as I start changing the size, it should update. Why isn't it updating? Not re-render, it's not re-rendering. How do we make a variable re-render? By using use state. Makes sense, makes sense. ठीक है, चलो. So let's have that, let's have that, let's have that. Let's have set page height, right? Let's have use state, and let's have this. Take it. Page height, right? Then let's say I have this इसको भी let's wrap it. Set page width, and this will be wrapped inside use state. Now, how should we change it? Take use state. Okay. How should we change it? Any idea? Event listener. ठीक है. But can you use event listener directly in JSX? I mean, is that the case? But can we use it in JS? Can we use it in JS? Easily. Easily. So seems like maybe we might need page, मतलब ऐसे तो होगा नहीं कि we might need it in applications, but there's a possibility कि मान लो in different pages you have to show the page height and width. तो make sense to create a hook out of it, क्योंकि we know that if you want to use an event, we'll need a. Let's create a hook. Use display resize .js. थोड़ा बड़ा नाम रख दिया. अच्छा, फिर एक तो JSX की आदत लग गई है. It should be JS. ठीक है. Let's have a function over here, and this will be called use display resize. Quickly, what input do we need? Or do we need anything? Because page height है. This we can gather anywhere. Page height and width. कहीं पे भी gather कर सकते हैं. If the function is called there. So do we need to send it? Not exactly. No. So let's do one thing. Let's come over here and let's copy these two. Right. Let's go back in our display resize. Let's paste them. All right. Now we have page height. We have set page height, page width, and set page width. Abhi, as soon as the page loads, we have to show user some height and width. What can do this? कौन कर सकते हैं? Use effect as soon as the page loads. Use effect can do this. ठीक है? We want to do it just once. Right? बस हमें events attach करने. We don't have to do anything because once the event is attached in DOM, it will keep on working. Right? उसको dependency नहीं चाहिए होगी. Yes? No? Anything? Yes. ठीक है. So over here, can I not access window dot add event listener because it's a JS file? This works without an error, right? And the event will be. Anyone tried resize event MDN पे? Resize. So whenever this resize event is triggered, what do we want to do? What do we want to do? Do we want to call set page height? And do you want to update it with window dot inner height? जो भी अभी current height है. Do you want to call set page width? Do you want to update it with window dot inner width जो current width है? Yes. And then from this function, what should we return? An object which page height and page width. Yes. Now can anyone tell me why haven't we given anything in dependency array? I mean, honestly, I'm trying it. मुझे अभी के लिए sense बना रही है वो बात. So you guys first tell me कि any reasons for this thing. I mean, page change हो रहा है, तो don't you think कि maybe page height पे we should have given. I mean, the reason why I didn't give any dependencies, think about it. As soon as DOM loads, window में we are attaching the event, right? And this event is irrespective of React. उसके render से उसको मतलब नहीं है. It's just attached to DOM directly, right? So does it matter if we are giving updates or not? It's already attached to the DOM, right? It's not in React, वो opposite चल रहा है, मतलब अलग से चल रहा है, opposite नहीं, it's separate. So it will keep on updating. एक बार वो attach हो गया, right? This is the reason why events are not allowed in your JSX. Yes, it's not related to VDOM. It's attached to the actual DOM directly. है ना? I mean, I hope that thing makes sense, right? This is add event listener. You're using a DOM property, so it gets attached to DOM directly. VDOM आता ही नहीं है बीच में. That's why in JSX it's not like viable to use this. ठीक है, fine. So let's call this use display resize and let's see what happens, right? Let's go and resize and let's call it. So let's say let size equals to, when we call function again, so no new use effect will mount to DOM. Use effect will mount, yes, right? But are we changing it? Are we changing anything over here based on use effect? So again, guys, if you don't remember, let's say एक node यहाँ पे है, एक node यहाँ पे है और एक component यहाँ पे है. Only this component was changed. तो React क्या करता है? It first creates a VDOM और उस VDOM में it only re-renders that specific component, right? So according to this, if it does not has any dependency, first time जो change हुआ उसके बाद according to use effect, were there any changes? According to use effect, और क्या हो रहा है उससे हमें मतलब there weren't, right? पर add event listener is direct DOM property, वो VDOM को skip कर देगा. It won't create a VDOM or anything. It will just attach itself to the DOM directly, right? Sweet. All right, let's go back to this and size. Let's destructure it. The page height and page width, and this will be use display resize, right? And I think we haven't exported it, so let's export it. Default use display resize, right? ठीक है, resize पे आते हैं वापस. If I refresh it back, we're getting some error. Use display resize is not defined. I will have to import it. चलो, I'll just write it again. I'm gonna write off everything. ठीक है, and this will be called. Now, page height and page width, have we returned it in that format only? Page height and page width. Yeah, that makes sense. ठीक है, so if I refresh it, we're not getting it. Use is not defined. Use state is not defined. Okay. यहाँ पे we might not have imported use state. Use state, right? We're using use state. We copy pasted it. That's why the error was there, right? So as soon as the component loads, right, this function is called, right? यहाँ पे use effect train once and it updated it with the original size. Now let's say if we go and resize it, resize update हो रहा है, right? Without even giving any dependency to this use effect, because add event listener is direct DOM event. It will skip VDOM, directly खुद को DOM पे attach कर लेगा. So it won't need a dependency to re-render. ठीक है? And similarly, if I go over here and let's say if I dock it somewhere else, let's say bottom में, right? तो अभी क्या होगा? Height change होगा in that particular case, right? So अभी height will keep. Clear? Clear? There are few more hooks that are covered in notes. I thought maybe we can cover some separate hooks ताकि, because I'm assuming it कि you guys are going with notes, right? हम notes वाले hook के साथ भी जा सकते थे, but then again, why do we have to do same thing again and again जब वो already mentioned? right? So notes while you use effect, do check it out because there's a very good hook which is basically localhost में set करना data. So that's a very good hook. How VDOM to DOM conversion occurs, it happens in hindsight. Again, it's all about how React compiles stuff. So, I mean, you don't exactly have to worry about it, but again, you have some change, right? You again, I don't have my pen with me. So let's say if I have some change, a particular component may, if you have made change, a copy will be created, right? Again, this VDOM will be created. This VDOM will check कि कहाँ पे update हुआ है and it will just re-render that particular thing. It will skip everything. Right? वहीं पे DOM में क्या होता है? If you change something, everything is recreated from scratch. ठीक है? तो that's the difference. Clear? I hope you got the idea कि how you can create your own custom hook. Now can we do that? Everyone, any doubts with respect to this? No doubts.